Welcome back to the Graphic Novel Club. So this week, or this month, sorry, we're talking about a manga, Demon Slayer. It's the first volume by Koyoharu Goteje. It's kind of like a horror shonen, so a horror action book. It's historical, so set in like ancient Japan, hence the swords. The premise of it is that a young man here, Tanjiro, his family is killed by a demon one night when he's away, and his little sister gets turned into a demon. So he's trying to find out if there's a way that one, he can learn to fight demons, and two, he can figure out a way to cure his sister. So that's the general premise of the story. If that sounds interesting, you might want to pick it up. Next, I'll tell you some read-alikes if you are interested in those type of stories. And I'll give you a spoiler-free review and then a spoilered-filled review. So, some read-alikes for Demon Slayer according to our Novelist Plus service that you can access through our website. Is Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, and Bleach, which are all very famous classic shonens. They can be checked out from the library. You can put them on request online. Those are good for middle school and older. It's a suggested grade level for those. There's also Attack on Titan and Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Those are both kind of for older teens to adults. They're also both available in the library, and you can check those out. So like I stated, the book itself is historical, so it's set in ancient Japan, which is fun if you're like into, sword fighting. It's an action fantasy novel. There's demons running around. The first volume is really just interested in introducing you to Tanjiro, giving you kind of like the backstory of what happened with his family, how he got into training for demon training. It gives you a lot of info on how demons work in this world, a little bit about how the demon hunters are set up in this world. The sister is in the story, but she doesn't do much past the first half of the story. I won't get into why. That's kind of spoiler territory. So they do introduce her, but she doesn't get much to do yet. Hopefully she'll have more to do in the future books. The first volume ends on a cliffhanger. Although, I mean, if you keep it, you know there's a second book, so. But it does end on a cliffhanger. It does have, since it has kind of, it deals with demons, so it has a horror story element, and it has some body horror elements, which is kind of typical of like horror-ish in Japanese manga and anime. So if you're not into the body horror, not really my thing, but it's not enough of it where it really like bugs me. I like this story. I mean, because you're mostly following along with the main character. He's a likable character. It's just kind of like regular guy who gets involved in like this big thing and has to learn how to fight. Has to learn how to, learn a bit more about himself. And of course, being it's kind of a, warrior shonen story. There's a little bit, he has a little bit of special about him kind of thing going on. So, but it's pretty fun if you like, like I said, if you like action, if you like horror, or if you like kind of like fantasy elements. I think it would be good for all those. Yep. Okay, spoiler review time. So this is for people who have either read the book or don't care if they get spoiled. Okay, I'm gonna go through pretty much the whole thing. So here we go. So I like that the book opens. It kind of opens with a cold open, like movie style. It's already with Tanjiro with his sister on his back, you know, climbing the mountain, you know, telling her don't die, don't die, and then they flash back to the day before. So before his family got attacked. So he went down the mountain to do some errands. He got stuck there overnight, and when he came back, a demon had attacked his whole family. Like, everyone was dead, except for his sister, who's a demon now. He actually had a pretty big family, like a lot of little brothers and sisters. And his father was dead, so it was just the kids and the mom. They introduced pretty early on, like before, when he's down on the mountain, that he has a kind of like, if you ever watch like Super Sniffer, right? Like, it's shown up in a couple of different things I watch for whatever reason, but like a really good nose. You can smell weird things other people can't, which reoccurs and is it's very helpful to him later on when it comes to demon fighting, because only in fiction is that a weird helpful thing to have. You know, it helps him sniff out demons, information about demons, and somehow, because this is a fantasy element, it helps him fight better. Just go with it. That's one of those things you just have to go with and accept if you're gonna kind of read a fantasy action book. Let's see what else. So his sister gets turned into a demon, but I don't remember them explaining how people actually gets turned into demons versus like just getting eaten. Because I mean, in this book they explain that demons eat people. And his sister gets turned into a demon, but they don't really explain how she gets turned into a demon. So maybe they'll explain that into a future book. So a demon slayer comes across them afterwards, kind of saves him from getting, sees his sister and him, and was gonna kill his sister, of course, and he's like, no, don't kill my sister. And then I noticed, okay, so all the demon slayers are mean as crap. Like, this guy is mean, the person and the other people he meets later, they're all mean. And then at first I'm just like, maybe I'm too nice, but I'm like, oh, these people are so mean to him, because they're like, you're too weak, you're too soft, you can't be a demon slayer, you can't kill your sister, you won't be able to kill the other demons, all the other stuff like this. And then they do make a point later on to talk about that, like, they're risking their lives every day, and like the trainer person he meets later, he's sending kids off to possibly be killed. So they're very big on, you can't do this unless you're really, really ready to do this. Like, unless you're tough, unless you're ready to kill, because otherwise you'll die. So it kind of makes more sense later on why they're so like harsh on him, and probably would be anybody who is interested in learning how to kill demons. Very life or death situation. So he kind of impresses the demon hunter who shows up by their place afterwards. He sees that he's a little bit of a smart thinker, and he sees that his sister is like, I guess usually demons just have like, they just eat everything, every human they run across, especially if they're injured, because it helps them heal. Like, they can't help it. But the sister, like, doesn't try to attack the brother. So the demon hunter's like, oh, well, he's smart, so there's something a little different about her. I'll send him over to this trainer over at a mountain whose name that I will not remember, so I'm not even going to try. So he goes over, he ends up meeting the trainer, he passed his test to get trained, and then he spends 2 years in training, which I was surprised about, because they start off, it's actually pretty fun. Like, it's a training montage essentially, because he's telling you, like, he's speaking to himself, of course, but he's telling you out loud in the book, and you're seeing it, all the different things he can try. I had to spend, like, months doing, running up and down the mountain, with thin air and I couldn't breathe, and I spent months learning, sword techniques, and I spent, so it's like a training montage like you would have in a movie. And then you get to the end of the first year and the trainer's like, we're done, you can move on once you can split. So my video got cut off and I didn't notice because I'm smart like that. So let's continue where we left off. So after he's been training for a year, the teacher tells him, we're done training, right? I taught you all I can teach you, and once you can split this, if you can see, a giant rock, then you can pass on to the final test, right? So he's like, that thing's huge, I cannot do that. And so he spends actually a whole nother year training by himself, practicing all the techniques and everything, in order to learn to split this rock. And actually in the second part of the year, he meets some other demon hunters who show up. They actually look pretty cool. Hold on one sec. This guy, oh shoot, hold on. This guy and this girl here, right? So they show up, and he's 6 months, he hasn't gotten anywhere, even though he's been practicing by himself. And then they show up and they help him do a little kind of good guy bad guy kind of thing, and one of them's tough and one of them's nice to him, and they help him train more. Then eventually he gets to the point where he can split the rock, right? So after he splits the rock, then the trainer's like, well, okay, you're ready to go on to the final test, which is up on this here mountain, where you meet the creepiest, don't know if they're twins, they look like twins, but so creepy looking. I'm showing you the creepy looking, look at those eyes, so creepy. Who tell them what the test is. So apparently the final test to becoming a demon hunter is you have to survive 7 days up on the mountain with a whole bunch of demons. So if you make it out alive, you pass the test, which so there's a whole bunch of different kids up there, and they meet a whole bunch of different demons, and that's where a lot of the body horror stuff starts coming in. They run into this right here, if you can see, extremely gross demon creature, which I'm like, oh, but that's most of the body horror in there, so that's what I say, it's not too much, but it was really powerful. And then it pretty much tells him that the guy who trained him trapped him up on this mountain. He's been up there for 50 years or something, and he makes it a point to kill everybody that the trainer sends up there, every new trainee, which is why the trainer was kind of reluctant to train him, and also kind of sad when he went off, because he's thinking, sending him off to die pretty much. And then he tells him he actually, the guy and the girl who helped train him earlier, he killed them. So the guy and the girl were ghosts, I guess. And so yeah, so apparently he could see dead people. His brother actually makes an appearance too, one of his brothers, while he's having this fight at some point. I take it from what kind of the trainer being surprised that he mentioned them earlier in the book, that it's abnormal for people to see dead people, and so I'm guessing they're going to explore that later on in some of the other books, that this is in addition to his super sniffer, which the trainer also has a super sniffer ability, so I guess that's not way out there, although most people don't have it. He can also see dead people some kind of way, for somehow, don't know, but I'm sure it'll come into play. And so he is trying to fight this giant demon, and that's where it kind of ends on the cliffhanger, which is him trying to do a final powerful blow there to the demon. You don't know if he succeeds or not. But of course, you know, we need to, there's more in the series. You know where this is going. So that's, yeah, kind of where they ended there at the cliffhanger. The sister, like I said, what I said in the non-spoiler review part, the sister doesn't really play a big part after the first half, because when he starts his training, for whatever reason, the sister just mysteriously falls asleep. So she's not really a factor like in the second half of the story, because for the whole 2 years he's training, and when he goes up on this mountain to do his final test, like, she's mysteriously asleep. They don't know why she fell asleep. She's not decaying or dead or anything like that. She's just asleep, right? So yeah, so they would have to address that in future books, and at some point I'm sure she's gonna wake up. But yeah, so the sister doesn't have too much to do there in the first book. I don't know if that was just, I kind of feel like that was just like a writing technique, or I don't know if I should call it technique, but a way for the writer to get the sister out of the way so he could focus the first book mostly on the main character and him becoming a demon hunter, without having to figure out what they're going to do with the vampire living with them. I mean, sorry, not vampire, a demon living with them for 2 years, how to explain her not eating them. So, but I'm sure the mysterious sleep will come into play at some point. So anyway, like I said, overall I thought it was a pretty it's a fun book. I know they have the television show, the anime, and a movie out in Japan, which is doing pretty good. So I mean, it's popular if you like the horror action, and so give it a shot, I guess, if that's kind of up your wheelhouse. All right, see you next time.